My name is Emily Carter, and until a few months ago, I thought my life was stable, not perfect, not magical, but comfortable, predictable, safe. I had been married to Jason for 7 years, and in those 7 years, I believed we had built a partnership based on love, trust, and mutual respect. But now, when I look back, I realize how easy it is to confuse routine with happiness. Jason and I met in college. He was charming, funny, and the kind of man who could make a crowded room turn its head without even trying. Meanwhile, I was the quiet one, focused, organized, the kind of girl professors loved because I turned in assignments early and classmates loved because I helped them study. He pursued me hard, flowers outside my dorm, handwritten notes slipped under my door, late night walks where he swore he'd never hurt me. And I believed him. Oh God, I believed every word. We married 2 years after graduation, moved into a modest little house on Maple Street, and started building what I thought was a beautiful life. He worked in real estate. I worked as a school counselor. We didn't make a lot, but we made enough. Enough to laugh over cheap takeout, enough to plan weekend road trips, enough to keep my heart warm. But the thing about betrayal is that it doesn't hit you like a single blow. No, betrayal grows quietly, slowly, like mold spreading behind a wall you thought was solid. It all started with small things, subtle things, things you can easily brush off until they pile up. Jason started coming home late. At first, he claimed it was work. Clients needed evening showings, paperwork, deadlines. I didn't question it. Real estate was unpredictable. Sometimes deals fell apart at the last second, and he'd sulk around the house, telling me how he couldn't catch a break. Other times, he would come home excited, waving his commission check like a trophy. So when he said he needed to stay late, I believed him. But then the excuses became sloppy. I forgot my phone at the office. I was stuck in traffic. My client changed the meeting time at the last minute. Except the office was 5 minutes away. Except I checked traffic. There was none. Except he suddenly had more female clients than male ones, and each one required his special attention. Still, I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, because that's what trusting wives do. That's what I did. One night, though, everything changed. It was a Tuesday, nothing special, nothing remarkable. I made dinner like I usually did. Baked chicken, vegetables, garlic bread. Jason texted he would be home late again. I waited, and waited, and waited. At 10:18 p.m., he called. Hey, don't wait up. I'm having drinks with a client. A client at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. I hung up, but something inside me cracked open. A tiny, fragile crack that let in a cold, unsettling wind. The next morning, Jason seemed jumpy, nervous. He kept checking his phone, flipping it face down every time a notification popped up. When I walked past him, I caught a whiff of perfume. Not mine. Something floral, sharp, expensive. Jason? I asked softly. Is everything okay? He didn't look at me. Just tired. The lie slid out of him so smoothly. It was almost convincing. Almost. That Thursday, I decided to surprise him at work. I made him lunch, his favorite, chicken pesto, and drove to his office with this foolish, hopeful idea that we'd sit together, eat, maybe reconnect. But when I got there, his car was gone. His coworker, Mark, poked his head out of a cubicle. Oh, hey, Emily. Jason isn't here. I frowned. He left early? Mark hesitated. A split-second pause that told me everything. I think he said he was meeting a client. Off-site? Something wasn't right. I walked back to my car, put the lunch bag on the passenger seat, and sat there, gripping the steering wheel as a sinking feeling spread through my stomach. I was losing him, and I didn't even know why. That night, I asked him directly, Jason, are you seeing someone else? He choked on his water. What? Emily, seriously? No. Why would you even think that? Because you're different, I whispered. You're distant. You're hiding something. He laughed. Actually laughed. Like I had told the funniest joke in the world. Emily, you're overthinking. You always do this. You stressed yourself out for no reason. He kissed my forehead and walked away, dismissing me like a child. But his reaction wasn't comforting. It was insulting. And deep down, I knew. I just didn't have proof. Not yet. The proof came 2 weeks later. It was a Saturday morning. Jason said he was going to the gym. Normally, he'd leave in basketball shorts and a t-shirt. But that day, he dressed nicely. Too nicely. A fitted polo. Alone. Styled hair. Since when do you dress like you're going to brunch for a gym session? I asked lightly. He froze for half a second, barely noticeable, but enough. Then he smirked. We're grabbing coffee afterward. Relax, relax. There it was again. That sharp dismissal that made me feel small. He left. But this time, I didn't stay home. My hands trembled as I grabbed my keys. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear anything else. I waited 2 minutes, then followed him. Call it desperate. Call it paranoid. Call it what you want. But a woman knows. She always knows. I kept my distance as I trailed his car through town, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. He turned right toward the shopping district, nowhere near the gym. Then he pulled into a small, private parking lot behind a boutique hotel. A hotel. My breath caught in my throat. He parked, got out, looked around, and then she appeared. A woman. Tall, gorgeous. Long dark hair, wearing a red dress that hugged every curve. She walked straight into his arms and Jason, my husband, lifted her off the ground as he kissed her. My world shattered. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I just sat there, gripping the wheel, watching the man I loved kiss another woman like she was his entire universe. He didn't even hesitate. He didn't even look guilty. He held her face gently, whispered something to her, then took her hand and walked into the hotel with her. I felt something inside me die, but something else. Woke up, a heat, a fire, a storm. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't fall apart. I just whispered to myself, this isn't the end. This is the beginning. And as I watched the hotel door close behind them, I had no idea that what I was about to discover would be so much worse than a simple affair, because the woman Jason was cheating with wasn't just anyone. And the truth about her would destroy everything I thought I knew about my marriage. And when I finally learned her name, my entire body went cold. Teach a conflict begins. When I finally managed to drive home, I didn't go inside right away. I sat in my car, staring blankly at the steering wheel as my pulse hammered in my ears. The image of Jason lifting that woman, his mistress, kept replaying in my mind like a cruel loop I couldn't escape. But the shock wasn't the worst part. It was the strange, nagging feeling that I recognized her. Her hair, her posture, even the way she tilted her head when she smiled. I'd seen her before, somewhere, somehow, but my brain was too flooded with adrenaline to place her. When Jason came home that afternoon, fresh from his hotel rendezvous, he smelled faintly of the same perfume I'd noticed before, sharp, floral, expensive. Betrayal revealed. I replayed the Instagram story over and over, my hands shaking, my chest tightening. It wasn't just Jason's voice. It wasn't just Vanessa's laughter. It was the background, the dim lighting, the red leather boots, the old jukebox in the corner, the neon sign shaped like a horseshoe. That place wasn't some random restaurant. It was Lucky Jack's Diner, a place Jason swore he'd never step foot in again. A place tied to a secret he made me promise never to talk about. A place connected to one of the biggest mistakes of his life. 3 years ago, Jason was drinking heavily after losing a major deal. He drove anyway. Ended up crashing into a parked car outside Lucky Jack's. Luckily, no one was hurt, but the owner threatened to call the police. Jason begged me not to let that happen. I paid the damages. I negotiated with the owner. I protected him. I saved him from jail. And after that, he told me, I'm never going back there. Ever. Yet now, he was there again. Laughing. Celebrating. Sharing moments with another woman in the same place where I once protected him with everything I had. The betrayal cut even deeper. This wasn't accidental. It wasn't impulsive. It was deliberate disrespect. I closed the laptop, walked to the bathroom, and splashed cold water on my face. My reflection stared back at me, tired, angry, humiliated. But beneath the hurt, a new emotion stirred. Not sadness, not fear, not even betrayal. It was determination. If Jason thought I would crumble quietly, he had no idea who he married. The first step toward truth. The next morning, I took a day off work, told them I wasn't feeling well. That wasn't entirely a lie. My heart did feel sick, but I needed the time. I dressed calmly, brewed a cup of coffee, and sat at the dining table. When Jason came downstairs, he paused. I could tell the stillness of the house made him uneasy. You're not going in today? He asked, adjusting his tie. No, I said simply, keeping my expression neutral. Taking a personal day. He hesitated, concern flickering across his face. Not concern for me, of course. concerned that maybe I knew something. You sure everything's okay? I'm fine, Jason. He nodded slowly, kissed the top of my head, and left for work. I watched his car disappear down the street. 5 seconds later, I grabbed my purse and keys. I wasn't following him today. I already knew where he was going. Instead, I drove straight to Crescent Realty, Vanessa's office. Her workplace was inside a sleek glass building downtown. The lobby buzzed with agents walking in and out. I kept my head down and walked to the reception desk. "Hi," I said politely. "I'm here to see Vanessa Collins." The receptionist gave me a quick, friendly smile. "Sure. Do you have an appointment?" "No, but I don't mind waiting." She typed something on her computer, then frowned. "Oh, actually, Vanessa isn't here today." I blinked. "She's not." The receptionist shook her head. "No, she called in sick this morning." Sick, or with Jason. Before I could ask anything else, a man in a navy suit approached the desk. "Can I help you?" he asked. I recognized him instantly, Vanessa's business partner, Derek Shaw. I'd seen him on their promotional billboards. I cleared my throat. I was hoping to speak with Vanessa. Derek looked uncomfortable, almost guarded. "She's not available." His tone was final, cold, protective. He clearly knew something. "Well," I said with a polite smile, "when she gets back, can you tell her a friend stopped by?" He nodded, though I could see the suspicion in his eyes. As I turned to leave, I heard him whisper to the receptionist, "Don't let her back up here." My heart raced. Why would they say that? What did they think I knew? What were they hiding? The sickening confirmation. I drove to the only place that made sense next. Lucky Jack's Diner. It was late morning when I arrived, and the place was nearly empty. A waitress with graying hair and friendly eyes greeted me. "Table for one, sweetheart?" "No," I said softly. "I just have a quick question." She raised an eyebrow but nodded. "Go ahead." I showed her Vanessa's Instagram photo. "Was this taken here?" She leaned closer, squinted at the image, then sighed. "Yeah. That's our booth by the jukebox." My stomach twisted. "Do you remember when this was taken?" She frowned, thinking. "Oh, I remember her all right. She's hard to forget. Came in with a guy. Handsome, tall, dark blonde hair." My breath hitched. "Was he wearing a silver watch?" I whispered. She snapped her fingers. "Yes." Exactly that. They were all giggly and touchy. Seemed like a new couple. A new couple. As if my marriage didn't even exist. I asked the question I feared most. "Did they come here often?" The waitress hesitated. "I've seen them at least 4 or 5 times. Maybe more." A hot wave of nausea rolled over me. 4 or 5 times. He had brought her here repeatedly. To the same place tied to a moment he swore he regretted. To the same place I once rescued him from. He had replaced me in our memories. I swallowed hard. "Thank you." But as I turned to leave, the waitress added something quietly. "They always asked for the same private booth. The one with the curtain." My heart stopped. The curtain. A small velvet divider that shielded the booth from most of the diner. Jason and I used to sit there during our early years of dating. He once carved our initials under the table. J+E. I had to lean on a chair for support. I suddenly felt dizzy. They used our booth, our memories, our place. It was cruel, deliberate, calculated. My vision blurred with tears, but I blinked them away. I couldn't break. Not yet. Not here. A breaking point. When I got home, Jason was already there, earlier than usual. He was in the kitchen, opening the fridge when he noticed me. "Hey," he said casually. "You okay? You look pale." I stared at him, at his face. The face I once loved dearly. The face that now felt like a mask hiding a stranger. "Jason," I whispered, "why did you go to Lucky Jack's?" He froze. It lasted only a fraction of a second, but I saw it. The tension in his shoulders. The flicker of panic in his eyes. "What?" he said, forcing a laugh. "I haven't been there in years." Lie. So quick, so smooth. Every lie he told piled onto the mountain already crushing me. I took a slow step forward. "Are you sure?" He swallowed. "Emily, seriously, what's going on?" "You're acting weird." Weird. I was acting weird. Because he was betraying me. And I dared question him? Before I could speak again, his phone buzzed on the counter. A text. My eyes shifted automatically. And I saw it. Her name. Vanessa. My stomach twisted painfully. Jason lunged quickly, grabbed his phone, and turned it face down. Too late. I had seen everything I needed. "You're overthinking." he muttered, avoiding my gaze. Am I said quietly. He shoved his hands in his pockets. Yeah. You've been stressed. Work's been stressful. You're just imagining things. Imagining things. He wanted me to doubt myself, to question my sanity, to silence my instincts. Not this time. I took a shaky breath. Jason, I know. He stared at me. Confusion. Fear. Annoyance. What do you think you know? I met his eyes, my voice steady. I know about you and Vanessa. His entire body stiffened. But before he could deny it, before he could spin another lie, someone knocked on our front door. A loud, sharp knock. Jason's eyes widened. Color drained from his face. I turned toward the door, my heart racing. And when I opened it, my entire world tilted. Because standing on our porch, trembling with tear-filled eyes, was Vanessa Collins herself. And the first words out of her mouth made my blood run cold. He walked in like nothing happened. Hey, he said casually, tossing his keys on the table. Jim was brutal today. I stared at him. For the first time in our marriage, I didn't bother pretending. I didn't smile. I didn't greet him back. I just watched him, his face, his eyes, the way he avoided looking directly at me. He felt my stare. I know he did. He gave me a quick glance. What? I swallowed. Nothing. Because what could I say? Hi, honey, hope you enjoyed cheating on me in that hotel this morning. No, not yet. Not until I had everything I needed. That night, he showered, humming to himself, while I lay awake staring at the ceiling. When he finally fell asleep, I slowly got out of bed, grabbed his phone from the nightstand, and tiptoed to the hallway. The phone was locked, of course. He changed his passcode months ago. Another red flag I ignored out of loyalty. I sighed, set the phone back, and crawled into bed. But the moment I lay down, Jason rolled over and draped his arm across my waist. It felt foreign. Wrong. Like being touched by a stranger. I stayed still until morning. The name I didn't expect. 2 days later, the universe handed me what I needed. I was organizing student files at school when my colleague, Sarah, walked in holding her phone. Hey, Emily, she said. Funny thing, I think I saw someone who looks just like your husband yesterday. My head snapped up. What? Where? At the Grandstone Hotel, she said casually. I was there for a bridal meeting with my sister. I only saw him from the back. But he was with a woman. Tall, black hair, red dress. My blood froze. It was her. Do you know who she is? I asked, trying to sound casual. Oh, I think I've met her once, Sarah said, flipping through her photos. She's a realtor too. Works for Crescent Realty, I think. My friend introduced us at a fundraiser. Her name is… I felt my pulse spike. Vanessa Collins. The name hit me like a punch. Vanessa Collins. How could I forget? 3 years ago, Jason had worked on a big real estate deal. A luxury condo project. He partnered with another agent on the deal. A beautiful, ambitious woman named Vanessa. She had come over to our house once. Once. She shook my hand, smiled at me politely, and told me I was lucky to have such a supportive husband. But the way she looked at him, the way he laughed at her jokes, the private smiles they exchanged. Back then, I brushed it off, told myself I was being insecure. God, how blind I was. The lies unravel. That evening, I cooked dinner like usual. Jason sat across from me, scrolling on his phone, pretending nothing in the world was amiss. Busy day at work? I asked. Yeah, he said without looking up. Lots of clients, lots of driving. I'm exhausted. A direct lie, delivered calmly, effortlessly. I watched him chew, watched him drink, watched him live this fake little life while I sat across from him, knowing everything. And that's when something inside me clicked. I didn't want to confront him yet. Not until I had everything, the truth, the evidence, the power. So I softened my expression and said gently, Jason, I've been feeling a little insecure lately. Do you mind if we do something together this weekend? Maybe brunch? Or a walk at the park? He hesitated. A hint of panic flickered in his eyes. This weekend? He scratched his neck, looking uncomfortable. I already have some meetings set up. Rain check. Meetings. Right. With Vanessa. I forced a smile. Sure. Another time. I knew he bought the act because he relaxed, went right back to his food, and even smiled as he told me a story about a client who wanted to buy a house with a koi pond. Meanwhile, inside my chest, the storm grew stronger. The first move, that night, after Jason fell asleep, I quietly got up and went to the living room. I opened my laptop, created a new email, a new folder, a new plan. First, I Googled Vanessa Collins. Her profile popped up instantly. She was successful, famous even. Real estate awards, articles, interviews, beautiful headshots, perfect hair, perfect makeup. She looked like the kind of woman who had everything she wanted. And apparently, she wanted my husband. I clicked on her social media. Flawless images, designer outfits, inspirational captions about empowerment and owning your destiny. I almost laughed at the irony. Then I noticed something odd. 6 months ago, Jason started coming home late. He became distant, cold, secretive. And 6 months ago was when Vanessa started posting oddly vague, emotional captions. People don't understand our connection. Sometimes the heart wants what it wants. Love isn't always convenient. My stomach twisted. She wasn't just having an affair with my husband. She was in love with him. I kept scrolling. And then things got worse. 4 months ago, she posted a photo of 2 wine glasses on a table at a restaurant Jason once took me to. The caption read, "Tonight was perfect." 3 months ago, she posted a picture of a man's arm, just part of it, but it looked painfully familiar. Same watch, same mole on the wrist. He makes me feel alive again. 2 months ago, she posted a video laughing in the passenger seat of a car. Jason's car. I sat back, trembling. There was no doubt anymore. This wasn't a fling. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't something that just happened. This was deliberate, long-term, planned. And the worst part, Jason didn't even try to hide it well, which meant he didn't think I was smart enough to figure it out. That detail stung more than the betrayal itself. The unexpected discovery. Just as I was about to close her profile, something caught my eye. A recent photo, posted only 3 days earlier. Vanessa standing in front of a mirror, smiling softly, her hand resting gently on her stomach. The caption read, "New beginnings, blessed beyond words." My breath hitched. No, 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 no. Was she pregnant? Before I could process it, I scrolled to the comments. And one comment, just one, made my vision blur. "Congratulations, Vanessa. I'm so happy for you and Jay." Jason. My husband. A cold shiver ran down my spine. If this was true, if she was pregnant, then this affair wasn't just an affair. It was a new life, a new family, a new future he was planning behind my back. I shook my head, refusing to believe it. I needed proof. Real proof. Slowly, carefully, I clicked on Vanessa's Instagram stories. And there it was. A short clip. A blurry restaurant interior. Laughter. A man's voice saying, "Come on, stop recording." His hand covering the camera playfully. Jason's voice. Jason's hand. My heart cracked in half. But then, something in the background caught my attention. A detail so subtle, so unexpected, that it changed everything. It wasn't just that Jason was with her. It was where they were. A place only he and I knew intimately. A place tied to a secret he never thought I'd uncover. And that secret was far bigger than cheating. Because in that moment, I realized Jason wasn't just betraying me emotionally. He was hiding something that could destroy both our lives. TH turning point. When I opened the door and saw Vanessa standing there, pale, shaking, her mascara streaked down her cheeks, I couldn't breathe for a moment. The woman who had been confidently posting glamorous photos online looked nothing like the polished temptress from Instagram. She wasn't dressed up. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't glowing with the pride of a stolen love. I stood in the hallway of our apartment, my heart thundering inside my chest as I listened to the chaos unfolding behind the living room door. Voices clashed, sharp and frantic. Daniel's deep, panicked tone and Alyssa's shrill whisper hiss as they fought about what had just happened. About the truth finally coming out. About me. My fingers tightened on the file folder I'd brought. The real one this time. The one holding every bank transfer, every message, every sneaky booking of hotel rooms Daniel had 100% paid for with our joint account. I felt strangely calm, like the quiet before a hurricane. This was the moment everything in me had been marching toward. I stepped inside. Alyssa froze. Daniel turned slowly, his face drained of color. "Emily, I can explain." I raised a hand. "You've done enough explaining for a lifetime. I'm done listening." Alyssa opened her mouth, probably to spit something venomous, but I cut her off with a look sharp enough to slice bone. I wasn't the same woman who used to shrink at confrontation. I wasn't the same wife who ignored red flags because she believed too hard in promises. I was someone who had finally snapped awake. I'm not here to argue, I said quietly. This is the last time we ever stand in the same room as husband and wife. Daniel's eyes went round. Emily, please, don't do this. We can fix. There's nothing left to fix. He took a step toward me, but I stepped backward. Don't touch me. He stopped. There was fear in his eyes, not fear of losing me, but fear of facing consequences he never thought he'd have to face. He was the kind of man who believed he could get away with anything because he could charm, manipulate, or talk his way out of every disaster. But this time, the storm had already hit. I walked toward the coffee table and placed the file down. That's everything your lawyer will ask for. Bank statements, screenshots, hotel receipts, messages, voice notes. Daniel blinked rapidly. You collected all this. I didn't just collect it, I said. I made sure copies were sent to my attorney, to yours, and to the HR department of your firm. His jaw dropped open. HR? Why the hell would you? I tilted my head slowly. Because having an affair with a subordinate violates half the policies you signed when you became partner track. Alyssa gasped. She clutched her bag as if she expected someone to physically rip her career away right then and there. You reported me? She choked out. No, I replied simply. I provided evidence. What they do with it isn't my problem. Daniel's panic sharpened. Emily, please. This will destroy my promotion, my reputation. You can't. You destroyed your own reputation, I whispered. Silence fell. Deep, heavy, choking. I could have screamed. I could have thrown things. I could have cried. But revenge wasn't loud. It was precise, controlled, surgical. He opened his mouth again, but I continued. There's more. Alyssa actually whimpered. I froze the joint account this morning, I said. Your personal account is untouched, but anything with my name attached, you won't be using it again. Daniel ran both hands through his hair. Emily, please, please, I need you to calm down. I've never been calmer. The room felt colder, sharper, like the temperature dropped with every word I spoke. He tried one more pathetic attempt. I love you. I met his eyes. I stopped believing that the day you chose someone else. Alyssa looked desperate now. Look, I never meant for this to happen. You're adults, I said, turning to her. You both meant every single moment of it. I picked up the last document inside the folder, a printed email. I placed it gently beside the others. Daniel swallowed. What is that? My letter of resignation, I said. I'm leaving this apartment in 2 days. I'll stay with my sister until the paperwork is done. His nostrils flared. You're leaving? You're walking out of everything we built. You walked out first, I whispered. He sank onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. For the first time, I saw him break, not out of guilt, but because he never expected consequences. He thought betraying me would cost nothing. He thought his double life would stay hidden. He thought I would stay the quiet, forgiving wife forever. He was wrong. Alyssa edged toward the door, clearly wanting to disappear. But before she left, she turned back. I'm sorry, Emily, she said softly. I didn't answer. Some apologies don't change anything. When they were gone, both of them leaving the apartment in awkward silence, I finally let the weight of everything fall onto me. I sank onto the floor, staring at the empty space where our wedding photo used to hang. I had removed it that morning. It felt symbolic. I stayed there for a long time, breathing in the quiet. The apartment felt different without lies echoing through it. It felt like the ruins of a life I once cherished. And yet, I also felt something else. Freedom. Later that evening, I packed my suitcase, folded close slowly, removed my wedding band and placed it in the drawer. My hands trembled, not with sadness, but with relief. As I zipped up the suitcase, my phone buzzed. A message from Maya. I'm proud of you. Come stay with me as long as you need. I love you, sis. A tear rolled down my cheek. Finally, a message that didn't hurt. I grabbed my suitcase and walked toward the front door. I paused one last time, letting my eyes sweep across the place I once called home. I may be leaving broken, I whispered to myself, but I'm leaving strong. I switched off the lights, closed the door behind me, and stepped into a new chapter of my life. A chapter where I wasn't someone's option anymore. I was my own beginning. But just as I reached the elevator, the door to the apartment suddenly swung open behind me, and Daniel came running out with something clenched tightly in his hand. His voice trembled. Emily, wait. You need to see this. It changes everything. And when he opened his hand, I felt the ground shift beneath my feet. What Daniel revealed made my entire world stop. She looked terrified. Emily, she whispered, her voice cracking. Please, I need to talk to you. Behind me, Jason cursed under his breath. Vanessa, what the hell are you doing here? She flinched at his voice, actually flinched. Her eyes darted past me to where he stood in the hallway. I didn't know where else to go, she stammered. You weren't answering my calls, I thought. Her voice broke, and she covered her mouth with a trembling hand. For a split second, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then the reality washed over me again. This woman had been sleeping with my husband. She wasn't a victim. She was part of the betrayal. Still, something was off. This wasn't the confident mistress who had been flaunting her affair on social media. This woman was scared, desperate, like someone running from danger. I stepped aside, though I wasn't sure why. Come in, I said stiffly. Jason immediately jumped between us. No. No, she's not coming inside. Vanessa's voice rose in panic. Jason, please. You can't shut me out now. Not after everything. Get out of here, he snapped. We'll talk later. No. She shook her head violently. No, I can't wait. You don't understand. This is serious. Jason looked like he wanted to drag her outside himself. I crossed my arms. What exactly is serious, Vanessa? She looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw something in her eyes that made my stomach twist. Fear. Real fear. I didn't know who else to turn to, she said, her voice breaking again. But you deserve to know the truth, Emily. All of it. Jason's voice turned ice cold. Vanessa, don't do this. She ignored him. And then she held up a folder I hadn't noticed before. A thick manila folder stuffed with papers. Her hands were shaking so badly the edges fluttered. This, she whispered. This is why Jason's been lying. It's not just about us. It's bigger and dangerous. Jason stormed forward to grab the folder, but I stepped in front of him. Don't, I said sharply. He froze, shocked. I had never spoken to him like that before. I took the folder from Vanessa's trembling hands. Jason's face turned ashen. Emily, don't open that. I opened it anyway. Inside were bank statements, wire transfers, contracts, notarized forms, photos, and at the very back, a legal document bearing Jason's signature. My head spun as I flipped through them. Money. So much money. Moving in and out of accounts I'd never heard of. And the names on the documents. I recognized one instantly. Crescent Realty Development Fund. That was the same fund Jason and Vanessa worked on years ago. The same one tied to the deal he supposedly lost because of office politics. But as I examined the paperwork, it became disturbingly clear. Jason hadn't lost that deal. He'd hidden it, and thousands of dollars, maybe more, had been quietly siphoned from the development budget into a private account overseas. My hands went numb. This wasn't cheating. This wasn't betrayal of the heart. This was fraud, embezzlement, a federal crime. I looked up slowly. What is all this? I whispered. Jason rubbed his forehead wildly. This is nothing. Vanessa's blowing things out of proportion. Those documents are fake. They're not fake, Vanessa shouted, her voice echoing off the walls. Jason, stop lying. I kept copies of everything after you started ignoring me. I knew you'd throw me under the bus when things went wrong. I stared at both of them, horrified. What things? What's going wrong? Vanessa swallowed hard. The investors found discrepancies in the accounts. They're launching an internal investigation. Jason told me he had a plan, but Jason cut her off. And you believed them? Vanessa, they're just trying to scare us, trying to cover their own screw-ups. She shook her head. No, Jason. There's more. They hired a forensic accountant. They're digging into everything. If they trace the transfers back to you. Jason suddenly slammed his fist against the wall, making both of us jump. Shut up, Vanessa. She burst into tears. Jason, I'm pregnant, she cried. Do you understand? If you go down for this, they'll drag me into it too. I can't raise a baby in prison. I felt like the air was sucked out of the room. Pregnant. She said it out loud this time. Jason's eyes flicked to me, guilt flashing across his face for the first time. Emily, he whispered. I stepped back. Don't, I said, my voice trembling. Don't you dare. The room spun. He was going to be a father. With her. The same woman who helped him commit a crime. The same woman he had been planning a future with behind my back. Every piece of my marriage shattered like glass. But Vanessa wasn't finished. She wiped her tears with shaking hands. I didn't come here to hurt you, Emily. I came because Jason's been acting strange. Like he's planning something. I'm scared he's going to run. Jason stiffened. That's ridiculous. But his reaction said otherwise. Vanessa took a shaky breath. He told me last week that if things got bad, he'd disappear for a while, change his name. Leave everything behind. She looked at me, eyes full of dread. And I think he meant everything, including you. The room fell silent. Jason's jaw clenched. You're insane, Vanessa. But now his voice trembled too. The truth was unraveling, and he knew it. I backed away slowly, gripping the folder like a lifeline. So let me get this straight, I said quietly, my voice dangerously calm. Not only did you cheat on me, not only did you get her pregnant, but you also stole money and planned to abandon us both when things got ugly? Jason didn't answer. His silence was the answer. Vanessa sank onto the couch, sobbing. Emily, please. Please don't let him hurt me. Or the baby. I don't know what to do. I stared at her. The woman who destroyed my marriage was now begging me for protection. And the worst part? I didn't know if she was safer inside my home, or if Jason was about to do something reckless. Jason took one slow step toward me. Emily, give me the folder. His eyes were cold now. Calculated. Dangerous. I felt a chill crawl down my spine. No, I whispered. His expression darkened. Emily, he said quietly, I'm not asking. I stepped back again. He took another step forward. Vanessa screamed. Jason stopped. And right then, right as Jason lunged toward me, the sound of police sirens erupted outside our house. And when I looked out the window, I saw squad cars surrounding our home, coming for my husband,